Good evening. Welcome to the PoliticIt Podcast. Tonight we have Lee Perry. Lee, thanks for dropping by. It's nice to have you. You served quite a while in the legislature. So what are you up to now?
Well, I thought I was going to retire from law enforcement, retire from the legislature, and just be a grandpa. But some things happened. I watched the county commissioners down here, Gage Frohr and Scott Jenkins, who left the legislature and decided to be county commissioners. And I knew our county commissioners in Box Elder County weren't going to run again. So I decided to throw my hat in the ring and run for Box Elder County Commission.
So you just went through the convention already, and you made it out of convention, but you have a primary, right?
Yep, we went through convention, and everybody that went through the convention this year is in a primary in Box Elder County. So we're working toward a June 28th primary.
Well, I know you're missed in the legislature. I mean, you served as chair of the law enforcement committee for a while. Gratefully, though, you left a good replacement for you.
I asked for him to be my replacement because I love Representative Wilcox. He's an excellent representative and knows how to deal with the people, knows how to help represent the people. And I think he and his vice chair did an excellent job this year.
Yeah, and they have a real love for law enforcement too.
They do. Well, and they understand the needs of law enforcement, which I appreciate.
So tell me about what you're going to do now in the county. What's your plans?
Well, so as a county commissioner, I was actually kind of an interesting situation. I grew up in Brigham City. That's where I was born and raised. And then because of my career in law enforcement, I ended up moving and living down in the Salt Lake Valley for about 15 years of my life. And I love the neighborhood I lived in Salt Lake. I love my neighbors down there. But my end result, and my wife and I both had grown up in the Box Elder County area, we always wanted to move home. We always wanted to be back in the place near our parents and near the things that we loved. So when we had the opportunity, we moved back to Box Elder County. We moved back, and weirdly, Lee Perry ended up in Perry, Utah. So
that's interesting.
Lee Perry from Perry.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, so I moved back up there, and I've just had a passion to serve the people of that community ever since, whether it be my job in law enforcement or whether it be in the state legislature.
So are you still in law enforcement then?
I'm not. I retired January of 2020, so it's before COVID hit and before all the Black Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff that hit all over the country. So my timing to get out of law enforcement was really good. I did get hired into private sector, and I'm still doing something kind of law enforcement related. I'm promoting what they call traffic incident management, where I'm training all responders who respond on things on interstates and highways how to stay safe and not get injured and keep the motoring public safe as well.
Oh, that's great. That's something that's really needed, right? We've lost some of our law enforcement there, especially highway patrol.
That's why I'm passionate. I lost one of my own in 2016 that got hit out on the highway up in Box Elder County, and so when I retired and they offered me this job, this was the perfect opportunity for me to kind of carry on and in remembrance of Eric and losing him. Yeah,
that was really a sad situation there.
Yep.
I worked with, of course, Matt Gwynn now is at least we've got some representatives from from law enforcement.
Some people might think that there was something going on there. Matt was always a dear friend, serving in the city council in Far West, and had always expressed an interest in running for that seat. And so it worked out great that Matt stepped up when I chose to not run again.
Yeah, that was actually a good thing. I worked on some legislation with him. One of them I thought was really good, and that was I didn't realize there weren't any rules in place if an officer got injured, right? And we ran a bill to have the law enforcement agencies actually pay into a fund so that their retirement keeps getting paid. They can go on disability, but then they really need that retirement later on.
Right.
So I thought that
was a great bill this year. I think that was a good message to law enforcement that we do have their back. We understand that they're an important role in our government and our system out there, and that we as citizens are going to back them up.
Well, it bothered me because the first year I had in the Senate, I went in there and there were all of these Black Lives Matter bills, right? Anti-law enforcement, and those bills really bothered me a lot. And I told. Of course, I would ask Representative Wilcox about any of the law enforcement bills that were coming, and we talked quite a bit about it. But yeah, those really gave me a sour taste in my mouth.
Well, law enforcement is not opposed or afraid of being watched, and they're very open publicly to people to make sure that you know what's going on. But on the other hand, we shouldn't tie their hands and make it hard for them to do the job that we're asking them to do.
Yeah.
And it's the legislature and the government that's asking them to go out and serve us.
Right. Yeah, that was my feeling, really.
Yep.
So let's go back to this county commission
Yeah.
race. What are some of the things that really are you passionate about as far as local issues, county-wide issues?
Well, as a citizen of Box Elder County, I'm obviously concerned about the tax issue with property taxes and how much it's costing people and what some of the concerns are there. And I know the legislature did a few things to help some of the elderly folks with property tax offsetting that cost. And then the other concern I have is with growth. I moved back to Box Elder County. 60% of the people who are moving to Box Elder County are people who were either born and raised there or kids and want to move back home. And so we've got to have a place for them to go. But we can't just allow building to happen anywhere and everywhere without thinking about infrastructure down the road. So you got to think about, do they have the water? Because water's a huge issue this year.
Right.
We need to make sure there's enough water to drink. And then if they're going to have irrigation, is there irrigation water? And Box Elder County is a huge agriculture community. So we can't just say, well, we're going to take water for everybody that needs a home and then to heck with the farmers, because you and I all need to eat.
Yeah.
And we need those farmers and that agriculture out there.
Well, and that's a big deal in Box Elder.
It is. It's a huge balance. And those are the passions. Is I call it quality or responsible growth, and saying, look, we've got to find a way to, as we develop and build out, whether it's business or even development with homes, we have to say there's a way to do this responsibly and making sure that the proper people are paying for it, so that down the road, your neighbors don't have to pay for your sewer system because you didn't plan for it or your developer didn't plan for it.
Right. Yeah, and the other thing is the right balance of commercial property too,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you know people want to keep their taxes low, but if they're against any kind of growth, then it's kind of a double whammy in a way,
Yes.
right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, and Box Elder County has great manufacturing. We used to have Thicol, which has gone through several changes, is now Northrop Grumman. Well, now we have Autoliv, and we have Procter & Gamble, and we have Northrop Grumman, we have Nucor Steel. We have many manufacturing places in Box Elder County, which are great. And there's others. Stevenson Door is a brand new one coming into Box Elder County. So we have some great businesses, and there's nothing wrong with continuing to allow them to come. But the new area that I think Box Elder County I'm going to help promote is tourism. We just celebrated the 150th anniversary of the Golden Spike Railroad. And there's a lot of people who came to see that and will continue to come see that. And it was the first national historic park in the United States. So let's promote that. Let's promote our bird refuge. That's another need for water again.
Right.
But let's promote that wonderful bird refuge we have there in Brigham City for people to come and see all those variety of birds. It surprises me how many people are driving through Box Elder County to go somewhere else. Let's get them to come to Box Elder County and spend some money.
That and that helps all the local businesses too, right?
And the local taxpayers, we pay
and
less.
see that's the thing, is that taxpayers need to realize
Yep.
that those restaurants and gas stations and hotels, all of those help bear the tax burden, right?
Absolutely, and they're great. I mean, we can't as a county support those businesses by ourselves. We need to have tourists come and visit, and I love having people visit because they visit and then they go home, and I don't have to build infrastructure necessarily for them that way.
Right. Yeah, and it's the other thing you have with Brigham City is, unlike a lot of the other cities in Utah, where the downtown area just fell apart, basically.
Yep.
Right. You still have thriving businesses downtown.
We
there,
do.
right?
In fact, Brigham City was just called out again as one of the top 10 most beautiful small cities in the nation. They have those beautiful trees that line Main Street in Brigham City that get called out for Arbor Day every year because of how beautiful those trees are. And that downtown area has been used in several movies.
Yeah.
Because of the neat downtown Main Street feel that you have in Brigham City.
And so you live in Perry.
I do.
You've got kind of an institution there with Maddox, and
Oh,
they've been
yes.
there for
We love Maddox.
for many generations.
Well, in Brigham City, we have Maddox in Perry. We have a restaurant in Brigham called Idle Isle, who has been in business just over 100 years now, which is kind of longest fully running cafe in the state of Utah, I think, with just over 100 years of business.
Now, I haven't been there, but people tell me it's a lot like the Bluebird.
Very much like the Bluebird. The rolls are to die for, and the apricot jam. That's what they're really known for. But there's a lot of other things that are really neat.
Take my wife out there.
We need to get you up to Idle Isle. You'd enjoy it there. I think they just changed ownership, but the new ownership is just taking hold of that whole Brigham City concept and that filling and moving forward with it.
Yeah, well, that's great when you have establishments that have been in a community for a long time.
Oh yeah,
It kind of adds to the quaintness, the appeal of the city.
Well, the other place we ought to take you out to sometime is Grouse Creek. It's way out in northwestern Box Elder County, and they have a one-room grocery store / convenience store, and they do have a couple of fuel pumps. They actually have a small hotel next door. It's a one-room hotel, and then you have to go over to the gas station to go to the bathroom and use the shower. But Grouse Creek is a very, very small town in northwestern Box Elder County. They have a one-room schoolhouse that's about to be redone. But there's always been a joke in Grouse Creek because it's got probably less than 100 people. But they have a little sign on the outside of town that somebody put that said Grouse Creek City Mall. And if you ever take your teenagers up there and they see that sign, Grouse Creek City Mall, they get excited, and then you pull in and it's just a one-room convenience store, and that's not quite the mall they were expecting.
That's great. Hey, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. We're talking to Lee Perry.
Hi, this is Lee Perry, and I'm running for Box Elder County Commission Seat B. And I hope the citizens of Box Elder County know how bad it is. I want to serve you in the Box Elder County Commission. I understand that we need to be responsible about our growth in this county. We obviously have to be concerned about water because of the drought we're in. And we can't forget the important agriculture needs that we have in Box Elder County. That's what we need to be about. And so with that, that's what I'm about. I would ask for your support come June in the primary.
Welcome back to the PoliticIt Podcast. We're talking with Lee Perry, a candidate. Again, right? I mean, I'm sure that people who know you are quite excited that you're doing that, right? You've got a lot of experience in the legislature. You know, you're bringing that experience back to the county.
That's one of the reasons I ran, is I saw some needs, and then I had a lot of people in Box Elder County and in the community come to me and say, if Jeff Scott's not going to run, we need somebody with some experience to step up and run to make sure the county continues in a positive direction and maybe can do some things even that Jeff Scott and Jeff Hadfield haven't done. So I hope that that's what I can bring to the table, is kind of some fresh, neat ideas that we can help push there.
What do you see as the major issues in Box Elder County?
The major issues is going to be is growth. We are seeing a huge impact in growth in that county, and we need to be concerned about water because of agriculture. So that's a real big deal. We want to continue to have economic development and growth there, but we have to do it in a very responsible way. Right now, we're to the point where we don't have enough employees to fill all the open positions anywhere in the county, including the county government itself. Right now, the county government's got over 20 openings that we have to try and fill with deputies and folks in the jail and some folks in the recorder's office and the auditor's office. So we have a lot of responsibilities and things we need to take care of. And one of the things I want to bring to the table that has never been done in Box Elder County that I'm aware of in the last 10 years, and it's not to pick on the former county commissions, I want to recognize these county employees who are providing a service to the citizens of the county. So every county commission meeting, my goal will be to bring in these people and have one county employee be introduced to the rest of the county through the county commission.
You know, I think growth inevitably is a big thing. I mean, if you look at this whole area,
Utah,
you know, Weber, Box Elder, Davis County, there's a tremendous amount of growth.
Yeah.
Just with Northrop Grumman, for instance, right?
Yeah.
You know, thousands of new engineers out at Hill, but I see that there's possibly some expansion out in the,
Well, Northrop Grumman, the old Thicol that they bought out there in Promontory, is growing. In fact, they're hiring more and more every week out there. So we're seeing huge impact in growth with the people moving to Box Elder County. Some are coming from living in Weber and driving up, but we are starting to see that growth with Northrop Grumman. And they're getting great contracts. And of course, they do their rocket testing out there as well. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean, that ICBM missile contract that they
Right.
got is going to go on for.
And the contract to
time.
send the next rocket to the moon.
Yeah.
They just did the last test for that and just sent that rocket up. So that's another thing they've got going for them. And then, of course, we have Procter & Gamble, which chose to come to Box Elder County and is adding an extension or expansion onto their plant out there.
So what does their plant do out there?
Oh, they are the godsend of COVID. They make toilet paper and paper towel. So
Yeah,
I can tell you, during the whole COVID pandemic, when nobody could find toilet paper, not that Box Elder County had a corner on the market, but I'll tell you what kind of corporate citizens they are. They took a truckload and brought it to our senior citizen center to get out to seniors who couldn't get out of their house during COVID. That's the kind of corporate citizens we have in Box Elder County with people like Procter & Gamble.
Oh, that's really cool.
That was cool.
And you know, given your position in the legislature before, you really do have a lot of contacts with people, right?
I've quite a few contacts up there. You know, the cool part for me is I've been able to reach out. I spent all 10 years in the legislature on the Natural Resources, Agriculture, and Environmental Committee for the budget side. I spent 2 years on the standing committee as the chair of that. And I can tell you that's one of the areas, even though I worked in law enforcement, I became passionate for our farmers, agriculture, and our natural resources. And if you haven't been up to Willard Bay lately, you haven't been to Willard Bay. That place is sold out for camping, and they have a new pond that they built when they built the dike up at Willard Bay a few years ago. There's a new pond just to the north of Willard Bay that's all designed for day swimming and day use. Beautiful beach. Won't have to go clear to Bear Lake if you want to go up and play in the water.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even know about that.
Brand new, and it'll be really kicking out this year. And then, of course, during Christmas time, we have our Fantasy at the Bay, where you can come up and drive through and see all the beautiful lights.
Yeah, now we do that.
Well, see,
Yeah, so.
some great things going on in Box Elder County, I can tell you.
Well, you know, it's great to have someone with your experience running for that seat, and we wish you the best. You know, we're about out of time, so why don't you just, in closing, you know, say something to our audience about why you're running and what you're.
Well, the reason I'm running is because I love Box Elder County. I'll just quickly tell you that my brother was actually murdered in Box Elder County, and if it wasn't for good county leaders doing the right thing for my family and making sure that the individual who committed that murder was prosecuted properly and that the proper funding was there, that may not have happened for my family. That was huge to me. This is my chance to give back to Box Elder County and the citizens there. And at the same time, I think I benefit citizens all over Utah because I'll be able to work with counties all over Utah with my knowledge in the legislature and work with our fellow legislators, my former legislative colleagues, along with all the other county commissioners throughout the state in promoting Utah to be what we all know it is, best state in the whole nation. Now, Box Elder County, I know that we're in Weber, but I really think Box Elder County's got to be right up there.
Thank you. Lee Perry, thanks for coming in, and we'll see you next week.